Hello, welcome to Vickie's Country Home. A little bit about me is I live in northern Nevada with my husband and daughter. We have 40 acres off-grid, no electrical coming to our house, no water, no plumbing, anything. It was bare land. We had no idea what we were getting into. And with a little bit of our own research, we were able to build our dream home. We have solar, wind, and our own well, and solar hot water, and we're totally independent other than having propane deliveries once a year or so. So it's really interesting way of life. It's not what we planned at all, but I am so thankful that we took that action. This is our 40-acre homestead. We live in the middle of a small valley at 5,200 feet altitude. We built at the start of the recession, so cosmetic things are still a work in progress. We power the house with solar, a wind generator, and we have a generator for backup. All of the power is stored in huge batteries that run everything in the house. After the recession, we had to regroup, and we're finally building up our homestead. We have a handful of fruit trees, grapevines, and a small vegetable garden. We're in the process of expanding it, but we have to make sure that everything is securely fenced, and we have to bring in soil and amendments for everything, because the thing that we grow best is rocks. This is our chicken coop. We don't have any tree cover, so we can't free range yet. So instead, we built this A-frame coop with a completely screened outdoor area. We have amazing 360-degree views and have some pretty incredible sunsets and some very impressive storms. We live on dirt roads, and as you will see, my favorite season is the fall. It's absolutely beautiful. We have wild horses, antelope, deer, coyotes, and even a recent mountain lion sighting. We are so truly blessed. I plan on making videos showing how I make sourdough bread, canning, soap, and whatever else comes up. Leave a comment and let me know what you would like to see. These are a few of my soaps, and I use all natural ingredients along with lye, and all of my formulas are different. I don't use any artificial fragrances or colors because of allergies, and I only make solid body butters and creams because liquids require preservatives. This is my husband Brian and my daughter Shayna. They humor me a lot, and my feral cat and my silly dogs Buster, Tootsie Roll, and my blind hound dog Olive Oil. Thank you for watching.
Did you want me to talk? You know he does, and then because of that, I screwed up. See what he did to me? He did that on purpose. Okay, it's a little bit touchy. Hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Did we?
Did we have a wonderful weekend? Sure, we had a wonderful weekend.
We worked our tushes off Saturday.
Yeah.
Not yesterday. My son and daughter-in-law stopped yesterday morning, so we had a nice visit with them. He is coming over to mow the church lot, which what Daryl does, so we'll have that covered for this week.
Yeah, I still got to put gas in the mower.
Oh, okay. And Big bear. Whoop. So that's about it. I've been sewing. Daryl was cutting the other day, and then now I've been sewing. That's about it.
Yeah, I was out cutting the limbs up in the front yard that came down.
Nancy, they said they couldn't shave to his belly. I mean, I guess he was matted on his belly. He's not going to let them shave him. So he wasn't all the way dried. He's clean. That's what I can say.
Or at least he was when we brought him home.
Yeah.
Don't know what he looks like now.
Yeah, that's true. What wouldn't happen on Georgia? What are you talking, Jason? And that's a nice birthday gift that you got, Robin. Well done there, boy. You did good. Hey, y'all. Beagle Family Fun.
Beagle family.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm hearing echoes.
Yeah, I did too. But not all the time.
Yeah.
All right.
I think he did earlier, but with him getting ready for this, he'll probably get back to you right after the live stream. Will that work for you? Robin Rare always looks beautiful, Jason, and you know that. Okay. We have a guest way over in Nevada. Nevada?
We're going off grid.
We're going off grid. In the desert, we're going off grid.
In the desert.
In the desert.
The
No trees.
The upper desert, if I remember right.
Is there an upper desert and a lower desert?
Apparently, the lower desert may be underwater. I don't know.
If it's desert, there's not going to be anything underwater, Daryl.
Deserts have water.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out.
Haven't you ever seen? I can remember cartoons when I was a kid.
Is Lake Tahoe in the desert?
You see these mirages, and they have
that was Roadrunner and the Coyote.
Yeah.
That says a lot, doesn't it, Jason? Does that explain a whole lot? Yeah. And there you have it, folks.
All right. Well, she's patiently waiting here in the green room, so maybe you better tell everybody who she is.
Bring Miss Vickie out from the green room.
All right. Here's Miss Vickie. Say hello.
Hello.
Yes, Jason, you do have a box going to her in the morning. That's right.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, Vickie, if you would please share with the folks out here a little bit about your location.
We are in Northwest Nevada, not too far from California, but we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. We're off-grid on 40 acres, and it's high desert. It's just beautiful.
So, did you grow up off-grid? I mean, is this...
Oh, no, I grew up in San Antonio, and we lived on the edge of town. It was kind of country, but mostly a residential area. And we have always lived in towns and cities, but we wanted to get away from it, and we bought land. It was bare land. And at the time we bought it, we had no idea that we were going to be off-grid. That came later.
So, if I watched a lot of your videos this week, trying to get myself well educated, so I could talk about something besides Roadrunner tonight.
We actually don't have those here.
Oh, okay. Well,
that wasn't that desert that they did the cartoon in, Daryl.
No coyotes either?
No.
Oh, we have tons of coyotes.
I think coyotes are everywhere.
They're huge. There's a wolf rescue not too far from us, and we think they've been crossbreeding because we have coyotes the size of German shepherds.
Oh, whoa.
Goodness sakes.
Yeah.
They're large.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'd wave to them from behind the door.
well, And I'm
Actually,
curious.
we have. They've come right up against our house and looked at us.
So
Yeah.
is there a hunting season out there for coyotes, or are they considered to be a nuisance pest and you can just eradicate them when necessary?
As far as I know, yes. It's one of the few animals you can hunt like that in Nevada. Anything else, they have all kinds of licenses you have to get, but coyotes, no, they're a problem.
All right. Well, let's go back to your property. So you guys just picked up the paper some Sunday morning down in San Antonio and said, "Let's go. Let's find some vacant property," and you just bought this barren piece of sand out in the middle of nowhere.
Actually, we were living in the Central Valley of California because Brian had gotten work in California. So it wasn't where I wanted to be. And as soon as we were able to, we wanted to move. And we wanted to be near the mountains. And I love the Sierras, so that was one of the requirements. So we started looking at our land. And he was traveling a lot at the time. So I had his power of attorney, and I found this piece of property, and I bought it and sent him a picture while he was on his way to Germany. It said, "It's where we're going to live the rest of our lives."
Oh, so you surprised him. He got a birthday present.
Kind of, yeah. I told him, this is the one I picked. Here's where we're going to be.
So you had not gone out really and looked at it or anything?
We had not looked at this particular area. We'd looked several miles away, but we'd never been back here. And we're kind of at the end of the road, so he had never been here. He had no idea what I bought.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. Well, I got the impression from watching some of your videos that it came as kind of a surprise that electricity wasn't readily available there.
We have power lines up to about a quarter-mile away, about on the next property over. They're each about a quarter-mile square. But it was going to cost, after we bought the property, it was going to cost $60,000 to bring power to our house site. And then they were going to charge us $250 a month for 5 years, whether we used power or not.
Oh, that's nice of them.
And for that amount of money, we got off-grid. So it was financial.
Okay, so you jumped in with both feet. All of a sudden now you have solar panels where you're dependent upon sun, and so you had a huge learning curve.
Yeah, you don't expect to do that when you get older, and it was kind of different, but you know what? My husband Brian's a very smart guy, and he figured it out. We had help, and it's been incredible.
Do you know how big of a system you have? I'm kind of curious.
If you're asking me kilowatts and that stuff, I'm clueless. It's all automatic. We have these giant, like 3 foot by 3 foot by 10-inch batteries. We have 4 of those, and then we have another stack of 8 that are about 2.5 by 2.5 by 8 feet, 8 inches. They run our house. So the power goes into the batteries and is stored, and we have 2 inverters, and it's really sophisticated system.
So, and just so we kind of understand, you have electric refrigerator, you have probably a washer. Do you have dryer too, or?
It's propane.
Okay.
The range is propane. The boiler is propane, but it is also run off of solar hot water tubes, evacuated glass tubes.
Yeah, I thought I saw those on the roof of your house.
Yeah, they're probably about 4-inch around diameter glass evacuated tubes, and they're really effective. They even work sometimes in low sunlight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with that system. Matter of fact, I have 3 of those banks sitting out in the driveway right now that have been sitting there since we've lived here. And the property that we are on currently is just not suitable for solar anything without a lot of tree cutting. So
That's something we don't have a problem with. There's very few trees here.
I saw that. That's what I say. It's like a big sand lot.
Some areas are. For us, it's heavy clay,
Heavy clay.
and
Okay.
it's a lot of volcanic rock.
Oh, really?
We only get 7 inches of rain on average a year.
That's not very
So
much.
Yeah, that's why it's considered high desert, because we just don't get the precipitation,
We
except usually all at once in the middle of the winter.
were getting that daily all spring here. I think about 7 inches every day.
Jeez, yeah.
Crazy.
Well, I think we're about double this year so far, just because of January and February. But yeah, we usually don't get much at all.
Well, you made mention in some of your videos about some crazy storms that come through your area too.
We get insane storms. We're not far from the base of the Sierras, so you've got all of the weather systems that come off the Pacific and go through the Sierra Mountains, and it makes crazy winds. We have clocked 110-mile-an-hour winds
Oh my.
on our property. We had to build our house to very high standards because of it. And we actually had the roof trusses blow over and almost take out one of the guys building, because a high level wind came through and knocked them down like dominoes.
So you also have some wind generated power, do you not?
We do. I think it's a 1 kilowatt. And you know what? If we had to do it over again, I'm not sure we would do it. It's not very effective. You do get a little bit of power when you don't have sunshine that short period during the winter. But if the wind is too low or too high a speed, it's totally ineffective.
I see.
Natasha Yearwood, Vickie, is asking, what about your tank system? How many gallons is your tank system?
We have a 3,500-gallon water tank, partially buried, and then we pump water from our well when the sun is shining, so we're not using a lot of power. So we run it into the tank and use a float switch to cut it off. And then our house draws off of that tank.
Cool.
So it's like a cistern.
Pretty much, yes. It's a big black PVC or whatever it is tank, water tank.
Okay.
Not sure what it is, but
So do you also use that for your gardening and so forth? You irrigate your garden out of that same system?
everything. Yeah. And we don't have to run it all the time, so because it's large enough and we have everything on a drip system. So for the most part, you pump into that tank and then we draw off of it for our irrigation and for everything.
So share with the folks what the weather is like out there. Do you have brutally cold winters and brutally hot summers? And
It's actually pretty nice most of the time. Right now, it's finally warming up. It's been in the low 80s, and the nights have been anywhere from the upper 40s to the low 50s. Usually by this time of year, we've had some 100-degree that has not happened. It's been very cool. Winters can be tough, and they can be anywhere from below 0 to 40 degrees with sun shining. And when the sun shines in high altitude, it feels warm. So it's actually pretty pleasant.
so you indicated you've got, 40 acres? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's quarter mile by quarter mile.
Okay. 40 acres is a pretty sizable piece of ground for a lot of people to take care of. Do you utilize that ground for, I'm going to say, animals or any type of livestock or farming per se?
You can. When we bought the property, we were deeded 2 acre-feet of water. And the reason 40 acres used to be the minimum you could buy here. And that was solely because of water use. If you get too many people too close together and they all put in wells, you're going to take, we're in desert. You're going to wipe out our groundwater. So if you're on 40 acres, you can have 1 well with 2 acre-feet of water a year unless you buy water rights. So you can have animals with that. You can have not too many, again, because the ground just won't support it in the high desert. But you can have animals, you can have gardens, but it's a challenge doing any of that here. So you really want to think it through before you invest money in any of it.
So do you have a septic system out there?
Yes.
There you go, Natasha.
Yep.
She says that's the setup they want to have. So she's picking your brain, and I said, pick away.
Pick away.
Yeah, that's
everything we have is solely self-supporting, and the only thing we bring in is propane, and we bring in diesel for our backup generator.
Loving Ivy Farm is asking if you're allowed rainwater catchment where you're at.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, you cannot build a pond without water rights. So we can use the water that we can capture, but you can't actually build a pond and retain it. Then that gets into some other issues. And especially the fact when we have wildfires, people that do have water rights and have ponds set up, the helicopters and the water planes come and fill there. So we need that water to be in those places.
Okay. So in other words, storage containers of some sort, you can catch water off the roof of your house and
yes.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But looking at my house, you would never know we're off grid if you didn't look off the solar panels. You'd be so surprised that we're off grid. It's a large house. It's got everything you could imagine.
Well, I'm a little curious. How far away is your grocery store that you travel to, and how often do you go?
28 miles, and it's about an hour drive because of the rough dirt roads. I'm usually in town 1 to 2 times a week because of my business, because I have bookkeeping clients in town. So okay. I'm always going in. We try and consolidate all of our trips so it's all in one day.
Homestead Land is asking, do you do anything to the water in your black tank, and how deep is the ground in your tank?
If I'm understanding, is that for our water tank from the well? I think that the water level is about 6 feet deep in there. And yes, we pump out of the ground into that tank, and some of the sediment filters out, settles down. And then we pump out of that into the house through a 4-stage filter and then a UV filter, and then it comes in, supplies the house.
Okay, and Four Blessings Farm here is asking, and I'm going to go ahead and answer. He's late to the party. How much solar do y'all have? We talked about that just a little bit before, and she doesn't know the kilowatt hours and stuff like that as far as what the capacity is. But I would bet you if you email him, her husband would be more than happy to share that information with you.
And we are planning to make a video showing our system, how it's set up, and what we have. I just have to corral my husband long enough to get it done.
And how do you heat your house during winter, cold months?
Right now we have a fireplace and this is a large house. We have a large fireplace that has, it reburns all of the residue.
Cool.
I can't think of it. It has a fan, and that will heat a good part of the house. We do have backup heaters. We're working on radiant heat underfloor,
Oh,
but that's not going because you're down in the crawl space running tubing. So
that's
not
a
finished.
4-letter word in our house.
Well,
Ours
but
is electric.
yeah,
Ours
that's-
is radiant heat electric.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
terrible.
We don't even
no.
want to tell you what we pay the electric company. Yeah, we don't turn it on.
No, ours was designed so that the hot water tubes on the roof would heat the water for the flooring and all of our domestic
That is
needs.
so cool. That's so cool. Natasha Yearwood is asking, was the house stick and beam construction or a modular setup?
It's actually stick and beam, but it was funny. We actually had another house designed by an architect, and we had a very strict budget. We told him what we wanted, and when we took it to a builder, we got sticker shock. It was over $1 million to build it.
Whoa.
So that didn't happen.
I
That
know
was
that.
going to be ICF, the insulated concrete forms. So we had to start from scratch, and we found they call it a kit house, but it's all designed. It comes out on bed trucks in sections. So they take the frame sections and lift them up and screw them into place, and it was actually pretty fascinating to watch.
Well, Vickie, I have a question. I mean, looking at the surroundings there, there's not a lot of trees. You're 30 miles from town. It's a grocery store. I have no idea how far you might be from I'm going to say a lumber yard, some sort of supply store like that. But I have the idea that building anything out there is a little bit more challenging because you have to go a lot further to get the materials to do the job. So it takes a lot more planning, a lot more hauling, a lot more everything.
Yeah, it does. And again, you try and consolidate any trip into town. One of the biggest challenges is time because it's an hour drive minimum. The other challenge is the trucking costs. I can buy garden soil for about, I don't know, really cheap, about $30 a yard. But for me to bring it here, it usually ends up costing around $1,000 with trucking. So,
and that's probably for what, like 5 yards or something?
last time we bought something, I think we bought 20 yards, but it ended up costing us about $1,000, and most of it was trucking.
Wow.
You're paying their time here and back, and you're paying for their fuel. So it's expensive.
Okay, so you've done a bunch of amending the soil so you can have a garden.
Right.
Okay, but now,
It's enclosed, so nothing can get to it.
well,
And right now it's covered, so the grasshoppers can't get to it. Or it was.
Yeah.
but
Oh, it's still covered.
Still
yeah.
covered? Yep.
but my question is, because you don't have the natural wood cover and being able to put pine chips down and I'm sure that I'm not seeing big sources of compost there. So does your amended dirt that you're using for your garden, does it become burnt out, if you would? So it's an ongoing thing that you have to do.
Well, I do have chickens, and so they're a never-ending supply of amendments. But we also bring in compost when we need it. But yeah, I guess it could, but we have been here about 11 years, and it's been a gradual process getting these beds built and more importantly, fenced to protect them.
So you have a unique pest out there, these grasshoppers, that I don't think people realize how bad that is.
I get a lot of comments on my videos. I don't think people understand. They can't comprehend If you live in Oklahoma or Texas, you might. They occasionally get this kind of a swarm, but literally when they're hatching and they're nymphs, they're maybe, I don't know, less than half an inch long. And you walk through the weeds and you will disturb maybe 40 or 50 for every step you take.
Wow.
And they're covering at least a 3 to 4 square mile area that I know of. It could be further, but we haven't gone back.
And they just eat anything green.
They will eat everything. And they ate my irises. They ate all of my strong herbs, my lavender, things that most insects will leave alone. They're pretty bad. And then we get Mormon crickets, and they will also swarm. We haven't had them since we were building. Those things are literally, I saw 3-inch long Mormon crickets. And if you want to see something horrible, that's them.
Good heavens!
The ground is moving.
and I can just picture walking and crunching them under your feet.
Ugh.
Yeah. And it's really not pleasant either. Actually, the Mormon crickets are so large that when you're driving down the highway, you can see them and aim for them because they are that bad. But they became a road hazard, and the state got upset.
Well,
aren't chocolate-covered ones a delicacy?
not for me.
Well, I know. I can remember my brother writing me when he was in Japan. I remember my brother was 10 years older than me.
Well, maybe she has an export item here.
He was in Japan, and they had chocolate-covered grasshoppers there.
But I know in the chat here we have a couple guys that do a lot of hunting and deal with predators and stuff like that. So, Jason, maybe you can ship her out some sort of traps for these crazy things. I don't know.
They crunch. Yeah, they do, Natasha. No doubt in my mind. And protein, no, that's something I don't want on my keto diet. I'll tell you what. I'm supposed to be eating lots of protein.
Okay, White Picket Fence is asking, can you protect your beds with row cover to keep the damage down? And I think that's kind of, in a way, what you're doing.
The netting.
Yeah, what I ended up doing is I found just old-fashioned nylon netting at the fabric store for $1 a yard. And it's about 6 feet across. And I just covered everything I could with it. And so far, it's keeping most of them out.
Fishes and Lowe's lives. Sweet on the outside, crunch in the middle. It's amazing how these conversations can go right off the bridge so fast. No, that's the netting you use. Is that like now I know you'll understand this, like the crinoline that was used as petticoat?
That's exactly what, yes.
See?
The old-fashioned nylon netting.
Now, I only know this because I have an older sister. My mom was a seamstress. I wouldn't know it myself. Yeah. We won't go there and go into the next subject right away.
Okay, so you have lots of coyotes, you have millions of grasshoppers, and you have giant crickets. What else do you have? Do you have armadillos out there?
No, actually, we don't. No I had them in Texas. I know I'm used to those, but no, we don't have them here. We have bobcats. We have mountain lions, wild horses, wild burros, and I think I said antelope already. We have deer. We never had too many deer until the last couple of years when the fires have been so bad around us in the hills, and that burned their habitats. So now they've come down into the valley more.
Okay, now I know that you have at least one or two videos that show some wild horses. Share with the folks. I mean, I think the concept for most everybody that's in the chat window here tonight, a wild horse. They don't have a concept of a animal that size that's typically domesticated, that they're just wild.
They're beautiful animals. They actually, for the most part, stay separate from us, but sometimes they'll be right in the middle of the road and they won't even move. You have to force them to move. They can become a major problem on the roads. When people are driving, there's times at night, there are lights here. It's completely dark. So at night, if they are not looking right at you, you can't see them. And there's been several people in very bad accidents and killed by hitting the wild horses.
Wow.
So we try and keep them out away from the roads, but there's a few people that think they're taking care of them by feeding them, and that attracts them closer to roads.
Okay, one more question.
I'm sorry.
One more question before we go to the trivia thing here. You have chickens. I don't know what, 20, 30, 40, 500 chickens. I don't know. But are there any other livestock?
Yeah.
Are there any other livestock on your property?
Well, not yet. I'm working on that one.
Okay.
I want wild burros. I want to adopt some burros.
Okay, now.
But I'm on that one.
And I'll just go ahead and show my total ignorance here. What's the difference between a burro and a donkey?
They're basically the same. The burros were left out here by the miners and the homesteaders, and they basically have just been wild, and they have been wild for a long, long time.
Okay, are they good for anything other than I don't know. I mean,
I would love to have them. One of the things that they excel at is hitting and stomping coyotes, and they tend to keep coyotes away from everything.
Oh, okay. So it would be a predator deterrent.
Yeah, but I still want some. I think I love them. They're very intelligent animals, and they have attitude, and I love that.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get Smudge to introduce the trivia time here, and we'll get that first trivia question answered up. So everybody got to pay attention to Smudge.
Well, hi, folks. It's trivia time again. And we have to have some rules for this, so they are as follows. Number 1, you can only win once every 4 weeks. Number 2, you must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window as it appears embedded on the screen here. Your chat window may have a different order. And number 3, you have to send an email to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Good luck.
Okay, and let me just kind of reiterate here just a little bit for Smudge. The official order of chat is what you see on the screen in front of you, not in the chat window off to the right-hand side. It's what's embedded on the screen. We have to do that so that we can have a definitive order of people answering the questions and so forth. So that is the official order. Whoever has the answer right first will be the winner.
On our screen.
On our screen that you see there. What are you ready, Sherry?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so here is the first trivia question. Oh, are we sharing with them what they have an opportunity to win? We didn't do that, did we?
I didn't even think about it.
Folks, it's a mystery prize. This will be like those little bags a mystery bag you can get in the store.
No, Chris. Jason's already gone, or I'm sure he would have said that for you. Yeah, they'll have to pick it up in Louisiana on Saturday. How about that?
All right, so here is question number 1. What is the name of our hound dog? What is the name of our hound dog?
funny because that was my sister's nickname in high school. As everyone hums the Jeopardy theme.
Yeah, I can't play it. I'll get a copyright against us. Oh, there we go.
Yep. Jessica.
Okay. J Love Adventures. The answer is
Olive oil.
olive oil. So, Popeye's girlfriend.
Yep.
That's it.
That's right.
Okay.
Miss Jessica, email us. Then I'll figure out what I'm going to send you. No, Ethan, not cheesecake.
Not cheesecake? All right.
These guys got cheesecake on the brain. Ethan, you're getting one in August. Oh, are you opening up the lines?
Yeah, so if you want to go ahead and talk to Miss Vickie here for just a moment. And
What do you want to talk about, Miss Vickie? Miss Vickie,
I don't know. When are we going to have a gathering out here?
You folks are going to have to plan it. I know Angela's talking about that up in Washington. We need one up here. I said, then plan one. That's what everybody seems to be doing. You know, they got two, and there's one in Kentucky in September, and there's one in November. The one in Louisiana this weekend. Yeah.
Okay, folks, we have the phone line open. I can take one caller at a time. If there's we already have somebody on the line, I would have to refuse any other calls that come in. We don't bite, but we don't pay you either. It's your nickel. So if you'd like to call, the number is up on the screen. And Vickie can hear you. We can hear you.
Yep.
And everybody in the chat can hear you. So be good.
And I know a lot of people out in California want to have one also. They've been, talking about it.
I've been thinking about it. I've just been too busy.
Mm-hmm. I can understand that. They're not a easy endeavor to get into. Mm-hmm. Oh, is that so, Jessica? Well, we'll just see.
Hello,
Homestead
this is
Highlands,
Daryl.
you
Who's
take
calling,
care.
please?
Yeah, how are y'all doing today?
We're doing just fine. I'm sorry. Who's calling?
Let's play Guess Who This Is. But one big get. I love cheesecake and kilts.
I was gonna say I knew it wasn't Stephen, and I was gonna say Chris.
Well, I think it's that single dad guy.
I win. The guy up on the mountain.
Yeah, the single dad guy. Yeah. Good evening,
Yeah,
Chris.
my phone is on an internet call.
Well, it is twice.
It's coming through real good. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Daryl?
Yes, we can hear you.
It's coming through good.
Okay. I just got a new internet phone in the house, so it may not work too well.
I think it's working fine. Vickie, are you having any problems hearing Chris? It's a single dad homestead.
He comes through fine. Yeah.
Okay, Chris, the floor is yours.
Well, Vickie, have you ever tried to put those little grasshoppers on a stick and put them over a campfire? They are really good. They're crunchy.
Oh Lord, here we go.
You know, I never have. And I probably never will unless that's the only thing I had to eat. So, no, probably not.
The chickens will love them too. Do your chickens eat them? That was actually my real question.
You know, they do, but we cannot let them free range because there's no cover for them. There's no trees or bushes because it's so barren. So if we let them out to free range, they become eagle and coyote and hawk food. So for the most part, they're going to stay in their run. I wish I could let them loose, and they will let the grasshopper come in to their run, but it's just not feasible. One of our neighbors tried that last year and lost 10 of his chickens in a very short time.
Oh wow.
You couldn't do any type of low tunnels over your beds and let the chickens be actually in the garden.
Well, I could try, but like I said, the coyotes will destroy that in minutes. I would have to literally be out there the whole time. I couldn't leave them unattended. And since I have a bookkeeping business, that's just usually not doable.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So,
Vickie, this brings up another question. Do you handle necessary means to eliminate things like coyotes? I mean, I guess what I'm asking is, do you shoot guns and do you take care of things like that?
yes, I do. And yes, we do. We don't usually shoot them. They do have a purpose for us, even though we don't want them close to our house or our chickens. They do keep the rodent population down. They get out of control very quickly. So we usually try and scare them away, but they still will come in if it's really quiet. At night, they can come up very close to the house. And I have seen them very close during the day also. They usually stay a little bit further out, but they hide in the sagebrush and they blend into the landscape. So they get pretty close before you can do anything about them.
Okay, well, I didn't know if your nickname was Vickie Oakley or not. So
you don't want to know that answer. So
when you live where you live, Vickie, a firearm's a necessary tool, is it not?
I'm sorry?
I said when you live where you live, a firearm becomes a necessary tool, just like the hoe or the shovel.
It absolutely does. We are usually 45 minutes minimum from any kind of law enforcement help.
Wow.
So we're pretty much on our own, but you know what? I'm surrounded by, let's see, an Army Ranger, 2 ex-Marines, an ex-warden of Folsom Prison. So I got a lot of backup if needed.
Just remember, Vickie, we're not ex-Marines. We're always Marines.
That's true. And you are absolutely right. They both are. So, yeah, it's true. And the Ranger, too. So.
Yes, ma'am. Well, it was a pleasure speaking to you. I'm glad this worked for me to call in. I miss being able to call in up here on the mountain in the Appalachians, no cell service. So this new internet phone is giving me the opportunity to participate in a little bit different way. So thanks for taking my call there, Daryl.
yeah, and Chris, it does sound very good.
Yeah,
good to go. I like that. So we'll see you in about 3 days at the bash, guys.
Yes, sir, you will.
All righty, you take care.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So there you go, folks. The ice has been broken. Number is scrolling on the screen. Just remember to turn down your YouTube and
Vickie, somebody asked as far as the grasshoppers goes and feeding them to the chickens, can you like put them in a bucket and put them in the pen with the chickens?
Well, I probably could try. They're very hard to round up or to even try and catch. If you walk, they scatter. So every step you take, they're going off around you. So, yeah, if I could catch them, I could do that. But that hasn't really worked. So I just try and keep them as far away from the beds as possible. And I'm using, as much as I just get, I'm using insecticide out in the grassy areas to try and keep them away. And then I use a grasshopper bait that disrupts their cycle. And I use that closer into the gardens.
well, let's go more into your wheelhouse here, Vickie. I know, probably at least it's my impression that the majority of your videos that you have on your channel revolve around cooking, canning, food in some fashion. So do you have aspirations to maybe like write your own cookbook or any kind of special things you have done on your own that that you can share with the folks? Or I think you know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, someday I'd probably like to write a cookbook, and it's just a matter of making the time to gather it and put it into the right format. But yeah, I'd like to do that. I love cooking. This house was designed, the large house that we got, because it had the right kitchen for me. And I designed it, so it was what I wanted.
Mm-hmm. Natasha's asking, after 11 years, is there anything you'd change?
I would have bought more land around us if I could have, but you can't always do that. So that would probably be my biggest change.
Is there a large turnover of land out there, or is everybody just they've had it in their family for a lot of years and that's just the way it is? Or
we built around 2007, so right after that was the recession, and a lot of people got foreclosed on. But for the most part, people know what they're getting into when they move here. But we've had a few that got out here and were not prepared for this way of life. You have to really love it and want to be here to put up with a lot of the challenges, whether it's the grasshoppers, the muddy roads where you're up to your axle in clay mud. There's a lot of challenges. If you need a doctor, you're going to be, a neighbor had to have an ambulance come get her at the end of the winter, and it was $70,000 for that in the emergency room.
Oh my goodness.
Because of the trip. And yeah, you have to really want to be here, and you have to be prepared mentally. And I think some people have a different belief about this area. It looks harmless, and it's not. There's challenges.
Well, just looking through your videos and stuff, most people, I believe, it could be totally off in left field here, but the majority of people, I think, at least wise east of the Mississippi, you say the name Nevada, and they just, they're thinking Las Vegas, Reno.
Yes, always.
But you're nowhere. I mean, you're a world apart from that lifestyle.
Yeah, and actually, it's like I said, an hour to get to the city, but at the same time, we are cut off in many ways from what people are used to. It's not easily accessible. Right now, they're just doing work on our main road in and out of the valley, our one route, and you almost can't get through. They'll be working, and there'll be a 12-inch round rock in the middle of the road, and that's what we have to deal with. So it gets discouraging very quickly for people that are not mentally prepared.
Wow. Matter of fact, somebody is saying that's why they changed their mind about living in Arizona. So.
Probably similar way of life, yeah.
I still can't believe you bought the property and just told your husband, well, here's where we're going.
Well, we had already planned to buy property, I just picked it, though. And he likes it, so we're good. It's me a lot, so we're still together.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Your daughter's not been. I don't know if she's ever participated in any of your videos. I know you have a couple pictures in some things, but
She's been a little bit, but yeah, she's kind of shy of it.
So, and I really don't have a feel for how old she is. I mean, was she pretty much an adult when you guys moved out there, or?
Oh yeah, she's in her early 40s,
Okay.
and she had never lived in a place like this either, so it was a learning curve. But now she has her own business helping people that live out here, whether it's stacking firewood, cleaning houses, pet sitting, you name it. gardening, she takes it on. So
Reap What You Sow, Vickie is asking, what made y'all decide to live off grid in the middle of nowhere? Because she's nuts.
mostly we were living, like I said, we were living in the Central Valley of California, and you'd look out your bedroom window or bathroom window into your neighbor's bedroom or bathroom window, and I just couldn't stand that closeness. And we wanted land, and we started out looking for an acre, and then that went to 5, and then it went to 10, and then we came to this area where it was 40-acre minimum, and that's what we did. So
Single dad homesteading, they've got 40 acres out there.
and it sounds like a lot, but honestly, it without trees, without anything, it doesn't look that big. And there's nothing size-wise for a perspective. When we were building this huge house, when they put the stem walls down, it looked tiny. And then they put the floor decking down, and it looked like an aircraft carrier. There's nothing for perspective because we're in the center of a valley with mountains around us.
So you don't have to worry about a homeowners association out there where they tell you what color to paint your house. And
No, in fact, there really are almost no restrictions on how we use our property as long as it's legal. So that can be good and bad, and we've experienced both. So you take the good with the bad.
have you developed a relationship with your neighbors since you're all out so far away, or are they just is everybody isolated to themselves out there?
You have a few people that don't want to be close. I mean, they're friendly, but for the most part, people, there's a lot of people that stay separate. But we knew a lot of our neighbors, and I call people neighbors that in this valley may live 15 miles away. I knew a lot of them before we ever even moved here and started building. We have a very close community, and I am so grateful for that. I can call any one of a number of neighbors if I ever have a problem, and they're here as quickly as they can drive.
Well, that's great. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
So
We're very fortunate.
So another question: you bought vacant property, you built your own house, or hired it done. I'm not sure how much you guys did, but that's neither here nor there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you live in? Where did you reside while all this was taking place? You didn't set up a tent, probably?
No, we sold a lot of things, and we had a business office in town where we did our business, and we also had storage there. We lived in a fifth wheel for 3.5 years. Most of that in RV parks until we started building, then we were allowed to move onto the property. So that was about 2.5 years in RV parks and about a year during the building process.
Okay, so you lived in a nice RV, and so you had some amenities that way.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. Well, I take that back. It was really hard to do the kind of cooking that I like. And that was the hardest thing about living in an RV. Very limited what I could do, but it got us through until we could get our home built.
Nancy Sadewater is asking, do you or any of your neighbors have their own airplane or helicopter to assist with the distances you have to take on?
No, now there is a landing strip about 4 miles from us. One of our neighbors has, but it's dirt and it's very rough. So, and he does not have any aircraft. We had another friend that did have his own helicopter, but he really didn't use it. He was about 15 miles away.
Well, they're pretty.
Really, what you do, if you get in really bad medical situation, you better have your coordinates GPS coordinates and call Care Flight.
Okay. I'm just kind of going back through the chat here, seeing if there's any other questions that I missed. I'm seeing stuff about stuffed jalapenos and all right. So anyway, yeah, single dad homesteading. It sounds like quite a place out here. And you indicated you had a couple of marine neighbors,
Yes.
ranger. It just sounds to me like the overall lay of the land leads itself to the type of people that really enjoy the outdoors, the ruggedness, and so on and so forth. Yet you didn't grow up that way.
Not really. Well, in a way I did. My family came from the country. We didn't live in it as children, but my family came from the country, and I was always around it and taken out to family. But I always knew that I wanted land. I always knew that I wanted to be out away from things.
This is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
Hi, this is Sandy. I'm in Colorado.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, you are live. Everybody can hear you, so go right ahead.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm not off-grid and homesteading right now. There is a place northwest Colorado, and it's going to be the distance, just what you're talking about right now. So your show is what I need. I'm looking at it. It's 120 acres. The home is already there, the cabin. It's 912 square feet, and it's very open, very bright, which is exactly what I want. I can take my horses, and then I have my 3 dogs, and they're big dogs. One actually served overseas, so they're my protectors. Now, it's a situation like what you just talked about. To get to a town, it's 40 minutes driving, and a doctor is, I believe it's an hour and 20 minutes away. Yeah, the helicopter, I'm just starting to check into things. And any advice that you can give me, I mean, I've been calling the farriers, the doctors, doing those kinds of things. As far as living off grid, my first experience, any advice that you can give me, I certainly would appreciate it. Any help. I grew up on a farm in Wisconsin, so I do have that. So take it away.
The very first thing that I would do, and it's what we did before I purchased the property, I went and met neighbors. I wanted to get an idea from them what the realities were. It was great looking at this land. I loved it, but I really had no idea what we were looking at. So that would be the first thing, that if you, any way possible, go meet people that live in that area and try and talk to them. Now, you have to be careful when you're out in these rural areas walking up to doorbells, so I would be cautious. But if there's any way possible, try and meet people and try and build friendships with them. Second, as far as off-grid, just don't be limited by the perceptions of other people of what off-grid is. Uh-huh. We have neighbors that are very rustic, that live off-grid. Most people in the general area where I am are off-grid. It could be very rustic and, you don't have all the conveniences that I have, but it's very doable to set up a system like we have, where our home mostly runs itself. we have to monitor things and we have to maintain them. But if I flip a light switch, it's going to come on. If I want the refrigerator on or the microwave or whatever, I have it. There's nothing like that. You do have to make choices. And with those, it's going to be what appliances, what things do you really want and need, and try and find energy efficient wherever you can.
Okay.
And there's going to be trade-offs. There's always going to be a trade-off. And you will, especially if you're solar, you're going to be scheduling your time around when the sun is shining. If I want to do laundry, sun's going to be shining. If I want to irrigate my garden, the sun needs to be shining. Everything takes power, even the water pump. So you
Right.
just have to learn to think differently is all.
I have to think like when we were on the farm, when we had the windmill. That's how we got the water to the house.
Exactly.
So that kind of ages me. But it's set up for solar. The batteries, it's got the images of everything, and so I've seen all of that, and I've kind of tracked back how it's hooked up. It's already got the panels. It does have an extra cistern besides the well. Which is nice because if you're going to have, my 3 horses there, the cistern will be nice for extra water. But
I would really ask questions, though, as far as the equipment that's already on site, because these components all have a life. They have a shelf life, or whatever you want to call it. Our batteries, when we bought them, were data center batteries, so they had a very long lifespan. If you buy the wrong type of batteries, they can be much shorter. So if you're buying an existing system, whether it's the solar panels or batteries, inverters, whatever it is, I would ask a lot of questions about the age, the capacity, and maybe get somebody that really is an expert. And there's a lot of people that say they are, but they really aren't. You need some good, solid advice on if that system is capable of supplying the needs that you have. Look at your power bill and see how much power you use throughout the year and what you're using, because that will give you some kind of indication of what power use you're going to need, and is this system set up for it? I know none of this, believe me. My husband is really good at it, and he figured it out with help. But it can be a very costly mistake, and we've seen it. We've seen neighbors that have gotten into that trap. So that would be probably my second biggest piece of advice.
And that is great, because looking at the system, of course, my first thing is, okay, they have all of these components already set up, and I started looking up, information on them, but you are spot on. Age, capacity, when am I going to have to start to replace things? How much is that going to cost?
It's expensive. It will cost you. So that's something you have to do. Okay.
It looks like she has it set up. I mean, she's operating her computer, everything. But the thing of it is I don't know, can she operate? What I don't know yet is, can she operate her computer at nighttime if she wants to work at night for a while? Or is it like lights out and you just enjoy the beauty of that valley where it's at?
Well, there's kind of 2 parts. Yes, you do enjoy it, and you try and take those night hours and enjoy that. But you should be able to run off of your bed overnight, or that system is not doing what you need. You're going to have high usage appliances such as your refrigerator, your freezer, anything that uses resistive electronic to heat. whether it's an iron or a stove or a dryer that are electric, they're going to take a lot of power. So we limited anything like that as much as possible, and used propane where we could for those.
I would put up a clothesline out there.
I've got mine. It's not installed yet. It's on the honey-do list.
Right.
But,
yep. And looking at the property, how it's set up, like I said, it's 120 acres, and where the home area is, in the vehicle parking and the big fenced-in yard for the dogs. Except I would have to put chain link fence up because I have a Belgian Malinois that'll go over 6-foot chain link fence. And so I would have to do that. But it's set up so that when you're in the house, you're all fenced in. And there's a beautiful place for a garden, and I already figured out where I would put a clothesline. so yeah, I've already thought about that. Because that's what we grew up with. We hung our clothes outside. So
I did too. Well, we had, yeah.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I grew up, I don't know about you, but we had the wringer washers.
My grandma had one, but we didn't. But we fortunately had an electric one. But no, I know exactly how they work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
There's a lot of,
Colorado.
I'm like you. I want to sell things. I want to downsize. It's just part of it too. It's just I'm east of Colorado Springs, and a developer came in and built up out here crazily and really destroyed it. And now everything is so pricey. But up there, taxes are, I think is it $800 a year? And I'm like, I can handle that. That I can handle. And you do get cell service, all of that. It's just, part of it for me is being out that far. Now, here's the kicker. About 15 minutes from where this property is, there is a huge ranch for sale, and they've got hay, they've got everything, and it's like $6 million. I think they're selling it for 4.9 or $6 million. It's absolutely huge.
Wow.
And then just opposite, there's other homes that are valued more. So there's military. There's retired military up there. So, coming from a military family, I probably would kind of draw a little bit closer to them, but it's just small town. It is a small town atmosphere, and it's going to be very quiet. And I have to think about that. It's like where I'm at, we're all on 5 to 35 acres out here, but just 3 miles north of us is where all of the building went up, houses 40, 60 feet apart. And it's like, this is crazy. So it's changed out here, and it's gotten expensive.
Yeah.
So, and being laid off last year, and I just started I work at home, it's a part-time job, in February of this year. So it's like I'm in a whole state of change. And I feel like I'm ready to do something. I just don't know yet if out that far is okay for me. Because it's
I don't know your age and your health and everything else. I will say, if it's a small town atmosphere, at least for us, even though there's no town close by and the neighbors are far apart, there's ways to get to know people. And that is priceless because you're going to rely on them.
Yeah.
I have had to rely on my neighbors a number of times. And if you have that, it's like your safety net kind of. I broke my ankle and Brian was gone because our daughter was in the hospital, our other daughter. And I picked up the phone, and within 5 minutes, neighbors came from miles away flying down our dirt roads to come help me. So,
see?
Build a community. That's what's very important when you live out away from everything.
Well, it's about 6 hours away from me, northwest of me. And I've been making calls to people and talking to them, and so far, my gut isn't telling me anything bad. Everybody has been very kind. They're willing to share information. Let us know when you're coming up. We'll make sure you get there okay. And I thought, wow. Now if I went up there, if I do decide to go up there, which I'm very interested in this property, and those people carry through on it and say, we're going to take you out there, everything's going to be okay, then that's going to say a lot.
And that's exactly what I came across when I bought this property. So I trust my gut when I do things. I met people, I was welcomed. They were helpful. They gave us a lot of information. That tells a lot. So, but I would go for at least a weekend or a few days and just kind of talk to people.
Feel it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. Get to know them and trust your gut. That's what I did.
Okay. All right. This is really, really helpful. Yeah. I so appreciate everything. Hello?
Well, if you have any questions for me, you can get my email, and I'd be happy to email back and forth and see if there's questions that I can answer.
That's awesome. And I'll just mention today's date and just say we talked about the property in Colorado, off-grid property in Colorado. And I'll put that in the matter so that you know it's me.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, this has been so helpful. And I'm really proud of you for taking that step and just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. Now what we need the world to do is get a hold of Tesla's papers and say, okay, it's time for free energy.
Yeah, well, their systems are not quite what we need for what we do, but they will work for some people.
Yeah, I've got it ready to go.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on your show and appreciate all you do. And take really good care and have a great 4th of July.
You have a wonderful and safe 4th of July.
Thanks so much for calling. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. So before we get another call, let me do another trivia question. We'll get this second one out of the way. Here we go.
Fish and Loaves,
Well,
neighbors.
hi, folks. It's trivia time again. And we have to have some rules for this, so they are as follows. Number 1, you can only win once every 4 weeks. Number 2, you must be the first person to answer the question correctly in the chat window as it appears embedded on the screen here. Your chat window may have a different order. And number 3, you have to send an email to twofamilyhomestead@gmail.com. Send us your mailing address so we know where to send your winnings. Good luck.
Okay. So just to reiterate what Smudge says, the official order of chat is what you see on the window there where Brenda's typed in all the numbers, and number is not the answer. So that doesn't work tonight. So if everybody's ready here, let me get the second question lit up here on the screen.
It's not a color either, Brenda.
It's not a color either, no. All right. So if everybody's ready, the question is, What is the name of our rooster? What is the name of our rooster? And obviously this is Vickie's Country Home asking these questions.
Hey, horticulture geek. We'll be in your neighborhood tomorrow night.
It is not possum. It is not cheesecake. It is not pizza. Pickles, bro. Nevada, tomatoes, rooster.
Think about some big furry thing on a Japanese movie years and years ago. It was Japanese, wasn't it, Vickie?
I think so.
The original one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not Egbert.
Hey, Albany.
Not Fred.
I think this one was hard.
No, not bear. Big furry thing on a... No, keep going, Dave. Keep going. Different name. Single dad, Chris. You got it. King Kong.
That's it. Yeah.
Single dad homesteading. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
Chris, I think I know what I may give you on Saturday.
All right. Folks, we're going to have the phone line open for just a little bit longer here.
Yeah, it's 20 after 10.
Yeah. So, and we obviously, we don't want to run her out of battery power. I don't think we're not going to keep her on the phone that long. But
Plus, I still have sewing and packing to do.
yeah, we still have to get ready to go tomorrow. But the phone line is open. If you want to get a quick question in, feel free to give us a call. Vickie, it has been absolutely fascinating tonight.
I'm glad that when you said you wanted to do it, it seemed so long away, didn't it?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember when I signed the list.
Mm-hmm.
Months.
Oh, you'll take Thrive? Okay, well, we're bringing some of that too. That's not what I was thinking though. But if you prefer Thrive.
BC Truck, thank you so much. I'm glad it worked for you. All right.
Any other questions? Make them in all caps.
So Vickie, I have a question. You obviously know your neighbors. Do they know you as a crazy YouTuber, or?
Some of them do. I haven't talked any of them into being in my videos yet, but I'll get there.
Natasha wants to know if you have a satellite phone.
No, we actually have cell phone service at our house, but we have repeaters in our attic so that we get a better signal through our house. It's very spotty because if you're on one service, you'll get signal here and not the other services. But if you go to a neighbor's house, it's opposite. So we run off of cell phones. We have data that comes that way, and we have broadband wireless service that comes through a dish. So it all works really. My husband's an IT expert, so he's got it all figured out, and it all works. And we both work from home over the computer a lot.
The gardener's asking, how do you like the propane refrigerator?
We don't have one. We have actually a regular refrigerator. We used propane when we were in the fifth wheel, but we looked at them, and I didn't care for them because all the ones we saw were tall and skinny. And I just didn't, they're not real practical for a short person. It didn't work. So we have a good size refrigerator, and we just have a very efficient one, and that's how we use it.
Where's that question go? Loving Ivy Farm. Not sure if this was answered before, but what do you grow in your garden? I guess she didn't like the answer I gave her was grasshoppers.
I grow those really well, and rocks is the other thing. I pretty much grow what most people have in their gardens. I just have to look for short season varieties because our growing season, we really can't plant before the end of May at the earliest unless you cover everything with walls of water or tunnels or something. So we just have a short growing season and you learn what works and what doesn't. But pretty much what most people have.
Yeah, we technically don't plant until Memorial Day because Mother Nature has played evil tricks on freezing too many years.
Yeah, we had snow on June 10th a couple years ago. So, yeah.
Oh, she does have one gardener. She has a garden. Yep.
Yeah, and pretty much just standard fare. I am curious, how much of your vegetables do you feel you get from your garden? How self-sustaining are you? Is it?
Not nearly where I want to be. And a lot of that is because last year we had the grasshopper swarm and I planted about 700 square feet just in the fenced gardens. And the grasshoppers ate everything.
Wow.
They didn't eat all of the tomato plants. That's the one thing that they didn't eat first, but they did eventually attack those. So very little came out of my garden.
Well,
And this year I'm hoping that I have some stuff to can and dehydrate.
According to Chris, if they ate all your garden, you should have eaten all the grasshoppers.
You're welcome to come get them all you want. I'm not going to can, dehydrate, or otherwise eat the grasshoppers.
All right. Well, it's been a wonderful evening here. Folks, if you've got any questions for Vickie.
Oh, Chris said he likes your red shirt.
Oh. If you got any questions for Vickie, be sure to send her an email. Go check out her channel. I'm sure that her
She's a wonderful cook.
Her link's been through here. She has a tremendous number of cooking videos, different recipes, and so forth. All good stuff. You can gain weight just by watching her channel. You don't have to even partake.
There you go. Dehydrated powdered grasshoppers.
Maybe
can use those.
Maybe that's a marketable item for you, Vickie. Maybe you should sell your grasshoppers.
If I can find somebody to do it for me, they're welcome to it.
Yes.
I can see it now. Next year at this time, she will have one of those chocolate fountains like you see in Golden Corral, and she'll be dipping.
No, I actually have one of those because I'm a cake decorator too. So I actually have all that stuff.
So instead of sprinkles, she'll have grasshopper sprinkles. Just won't tell them what they are.
Chocolate covered grasshoppers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dad, Chris says, cycle of life. The ducks ate my cucumber, so I'm eating the duck.
Yeah, that I could go for. I'd be okay with that.
Hey, Howie.
Cajun Homesteader is asking if you have a root cellar.
No, we have actually talked about building one. It's a challenge because the rocks, there's so much rock. It was a big deal for the bulldozer to level this house pad. It's like solid volcanic rock.
Okay, and the gardener is asking, what about fencing in your garden and getting guineas? So go ahead and tell your challenges on the problem with the feathered friends that could help and the fencing around your garden.
What I have now, and it's not sufficient for deer. I'm going to have to build that up. But I have about a 4-foot high fence, wire fence, and then I have chicken wire that goes from about 3 feet high down and underground and out about a foot. And that is to keep the burrowing creatures out. Guineas might work here. I have not heard of anybody in this area that's tried them, but most of the ducks and the chickens, anything like that, they have to be pretty large before they are safe from the air predators, the bald eagles, the golden eagles, the huge hawks, and most of all the coyotes. And the coyotes they're hard to deal with. So we have barbed wire fencing all around our 40 acres, but that doesn't stop the coyotes.
Wow.
So,
Folks, it's 10:30. What are you doing? Oh, okay. Can you get the vets to blow up a cellar?
If they had the right equipment, maybe. But you can get it dug out, but you need a pretty big backhoe to dig that out. And although we have neighbors that have backhoes, none of them have anything that is heavy duty enough to get them. We have a lot of caliche in the ground, and that actually broke the bulldozer that was grading our property. So,
last question, Natasha. Have you considered planting drought-tolerant trees?
You can. No matter what you plant, you're going to be watering it regularly for at least 2 or 3 years. Otherwise, they just don't ever get established. Last year, I had 3 fruit trees that actually got killed by the grasshoppers. They didn't just eat the leaves and the fruit, they ate bark off of the branches and the trunks. So it killed 3 of my fruit trees and damaged 3 more. And I did have a blue spruce planted, and they totally killed that. So
Wow.
No matter what you put in, it's going to have to be watered and protected.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Vickie, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody enjoyed
Thank
it.
you for having me.
And folks, next week we are going to have another homestead channel called Swampy Acres Homestead.
Yes.
So we'll look forward to seeing you next Monday evening. As far as the remainder of this week,
It's up in the air.
it's very much up in the air. I don't know that. I just don't know. I'm going to say tomorrow night, no, I'll probably still be driving. But
We may go live, but it won't be Tech Tuesday.
yeah, well, unless you can answer questions that I can maybe answer while I'm driving down the road.
That's true.
So,
Oh,
Vic,
Brenda, I'm sorry to hear that. The Japanese beetles are stripping her trees again. Quit putting on that music, Brenda. I've told you about that. Got to find some other music to put on.
thank you so much to all of our moderators in the chat. We appreciate all of you.
Yep, from the high desert to the swamps. You got it.
And
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One extreme
Well,
to
thank
another.
you for giving me this chance. This was fun.
Good. I'm glad
good,
you enjoyed it.
Good. So, folks, thanks so much for being here. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.